Too many engineers, too much money, not enough supervision. That's how you get the most hilariously overbuilt cars in history. And today we're counting down 10 of them. The last one, absolute beautiful madness. 10. Lexus LFA. Toyota has a reputation for sensible, bulletproof cars that just work, but when they decided to create a Halo supercar, the accountants were locked out of the room and the engineers were told, make something perfect no matter the cost. Development started in 2000 and dragged on for a decade because Lexus restarted the project twice. First it was going to be made from aluminum, then they decided it had to be carbon fiber, so they built an entirely new factory just to weave the stuff. By the time the LFA launched in 2010, it carried a $375,000 price tag, and Lexus still lost money on every single one. Its 4.8-liter V10 was a jewel, revving to 9,000 RPM so quickly that an analog tachometer couldn't keep up. Yamaha's musical instrument division helped tune the exhaust note, so the car sang like an F1 racer. The engine was smaller than most V8s, yet produced 552 horsepower thanks to absurdly precise engineering tolerances. Every detail was borderline obsessive. The carbon fiber weave in the cabin was aligned across panels with near microscopic accuracy. The pedals were milled from single blocks of aluminum. Each car took 50 days to assemble by hand, and only 500 were built. It was an over-engineered love letter to driving, and a financial nightmare for Lexus. 9. Citroen SM. The Citroen SM wasn't just a car, it was France's attempt to reinvent the very idea of a grand tourer, with a healthy dose of what-if engineering. When Citroën needed a powerful engine, they didn't develop one from scratch, they just bought Maserati. The resulting 2.7-liter V6 had 3 carburetors and timing chains that demanded adjustment every 3,000 miles. It was mounted so far forward you needed the patience of a saint and the hands of a watchmaker to change the front spark plugs. Its hydraulic suspension could raise and lower the car at will, self-level regardless of load, and soak up bumps like nothing else. But it ran at 2,500 psi, higher than many industrial machines, so one leak could drop the car onto the ground. The steering was equally wild, fully powered, self-centering, and so sensitive that at highway speeds, a sneeze could send you into the next lane. Then there were the features, inner headlights that swiveled with the steering, rain-sensing wipers in 1970, and brakes operated by a pressure-sensitive button instead of a pedal. Even the turn signals were on the wrong side, because Citroën thought their way was better. It was dazzling, complicated, and terrifying to maintain. Mechanics dreaded it, owners adored it, and today, it's remembered as one of the most eccentric engineering experiments ever to make it to production. 8. Bugatti Veyron. When Volkswagen decided to revive Bugatti, they didn't just want a fast car, they wanted the fastest car, and they were willing to torch billions to make it happen. The Veyron's 8.0-liter W16 engine was essentially 2 V8s fused together, with 4 turbochargers cramming air into 10 radiators. At full throttle, it could burn 1.3 gallons of fuel per minute, enough to drain the tank in 12 minutes at top speed. Speaking of which, that top speed was 253 miles per hour, but you couldn't just stomp on the gas to get there. You had to insert a special top speed key, which lowered the suspension, retracted the spoiler, and prepared the car for a physics-defying run. The 7-speed dual-clutch gearbox could shift in 150 milliseconds and handle torque figures that would shred lesser transmissions. The brakes were carbon ceramic monsters capable of hauling the car down from top speed in under 10 seconds. The tires, custom made by Michelin, cost $25,000 a set and were only good for about 15 minutes at full speed. And the wheels themselves had to be replaced after 3 top speed runs. Volkswagen lost millions on each of the 450 Veyrons sold, but they proved a point. They could make a car so over-engineered, it felt like cheating the laws of nature. 7. Audi A2. In 1999, Audi decided to build the most advanced small car the world had ever seen. And they did. The problem was, nobody wanted it. The A2's entire body was an aluminum space frame, the same approach used in high-end sports cars, which made it incredibly light, just 1,975 pounds, yet spacious inside. The drag coefficient, a jaw-dropping 0.25, achieved with a flat underbody, active grille shutters, and flush-fitting glass. Inside, every inch was designed for versatility. The rear bench slid forward or back, the seats could be removed entirely and used as camp chairs, and the cargo floor had rails for mounting accessories. The 3 GL version, named for its ability to use just 3 liters of fuel per 100 kilometers, had magnesium wheels, covered rear arches, and an automated manual gearbox. But aluminum construction meant expensive repairs, and the A2's high price confused buyers who thought small cars should be cheap. Audi lost money on everyone, pulling the plug after 6 years. Today, it's considered a cult classic, the kind of over-engineered brilliance that only makes sense in hindsight. 6. BMW Z1. BMW's Z1 was less a car and more an engineering party trick. Instead of opening outwards or sliding, its doors dropped straight down into the body, disappearing completely. 13 electric motors powered this theatrical entry system, which was fun to watch but took longer than just opening a normal door. The body panels were made from thermoplastic, and BMW claimed owners could swap them out in under an hour to change outfits. In reality, almost nobody bothered. The underbody was perfectly flat for aerodynamics, but most owners drove with the doors lowered, completely wrecking the airflow. Underneath the novelty, it was a solid driver's car with a multi-link rear suspension so advanced it later made its way into the 3 Series. Only 8,000 were built between 1989 and 1991, each priced like a luxury sedan. It was less about practicality and more about proving BMW's engineers could and would make something purely for fun. 5. McLaren F1. The McLaren F1 was Gordon Murray's dream car. No compromises, no limits, and absolutely no concern for cost. Its 6.1-liter BMW V12 made 627 horsepower without a turbo or supercharger. The entire engine bay was lined with 16 grams of gold foil to reflect heat. The driver's seat was positioned in the center, with 2 passenger seats set back on either side, which required a completely custom cockpit design. The F1 had no power steering, no traction control, and no ABS, just raw mechanical feedback. The toolkit was titanium to save weight. Even the CD player was custom designed to be half the weight of a standard unit. Each one took more than 3,000 hours to build, and McLaren only made 106. At launch, it was the fastest production car in the world, hitting 240.1 miles per hour in 1998. Today, they sell for well over $20 million. Proof that over-engineering can sometimes create an enduring legend. Number 4. Mercedes-Benz W140 S-Class. The W140 S-Class was Mercedes at its most unapologetic. Built in the early 90s with a cost-is-no-object philosophy, it became a technological showcase and a financial headache. It had double-pane acoustic glass, soft-closed doors and trunk, and heated windshield washer nozzles. The seat adjustments used 12 electric motors each, and the climate control system had 4 separate zones that could sense sunlight and adjust automatically. The wiring harness alone weighed over 100 pounds. Some versions had hydraulic self-leveling rear suspension, which was brilliant until it broke, and cost thousands to repair. The V12 models tipped the scales at 5,500 pounds, forcing Mercedes to design special tires just to handle the load. It was overbuilt, overcomplicated, and over budget, and it set a standard for luxury cars that rivals still chase today. 3. Mercedes-Benz G-Class. The G-Class was designed in the late 70s for military use, and it still carries that DNA, even as a 6-figure luxury status symbol. Its ladder frame is built to survive artillery blasts. The doors close with a mechanical clunk that feels like sealing a bank vault. 3 locking differentials, front, center, and rear, give it off-road capability most owners will never use. And yet, modern G-Wagons come with massaging leather seats, 64-color ambient lighting, and touchscreens everywhere. The aerodynamics are awful, the fuel economy worse, and the turning circle is comically bad, but people happily pay $200,000 for one. It's proof that when something is over-engineered well enough, it can outlive trends, generations, and common sense. 2. Volkswagen Feton W12. Ferdinand Piech's vision for the Feton W12 was simple: build the most advanced luxury sedan in the world, regardless of cost. Its 6.0-liter W12 engine had 2 cooling systems, 5 radiators, and an oil capacity more common in trucks. The air suspension could read the road ahead and adjust instantly. The climate control system had 18 motors and could keep 4 zones within a degree of target temperature. The wood trim came from a single tree for perfect grain matching, the leather from high-altitude bulls for unblemished hides, and even the carpet had to be engineered to work with the electronic parking brake. It was an engineering masterpiece, and a sales disaster. Few buyers wanted to spend 6 figures on a Volkswagen, no matter how overbuilt it was. 1. Bugatti Chiron. If the Veyron was an engineering moonshot, the Chiron was the engineers saying, let's go even faster. Its 8.0-liter quad-turbo W16 makes 1,500 horsepower, more than a Formula 1 car, and enough torque to launch you into next week. Top speed, electronically limited to 261 miles per hour because the tires would literally shred themselves beyond that. Cooling is handled by 10 radiators, and the carbon ceramic brakes can haul it down from highway speeds in less space than some hatchbacks. Inside, flawless leather and billet aluminum switchgear remind you that no detail was too small to obsess over. At nearly $3 million, Bugatti still doesn't profit on each one, but over-engineering was never about the money. It was about building something that doesn't recognize limits.